We're always told to stick to our guns, right? That having strong convictions is a sign of strength. But what if the exact opposite is true? Today, we're going to dig into this really powerful idea that the skill of rethinking, of being willing to unlearn stuff, is actually the most critical skill for getting by in this crazy, complex world.
So, yeah, that's the big question we're tackling today. We're going to explore why embracing a little doubt, being willing to say, hey, maybe I was wrong, why that's not weakness. It's actually an act of real intellectual courage.
And here's the trap, and believe me, we all fall into it. Our opinions, our beliefs, they get tangled up with our identity. They become part of who we think we are. And as Adam Grant puts it so well here, once that happens, changing your mind doesn't feel like learning something new. Nope, it feels like you're losing a part of yourself. The search for truth just gets shoved aside for a battle to protect our own ego. Ouch.
All right, let's dive in. We're going to break this down into 3 circles, and our journey starts with the very first one, the one that's all about us, rethinking our own inner world. This is all about the science of changing your own mind. We got to start there before we can even think about anyone else. So to help us get a handle on this inner world, let's imagine we've got a kind of dream team of thinkers sitting around a table. We've got Daniel Kahneman, the master of cognitive biases. We've got Carol Dweck on mindsets. Julia Galef is here to talk about a scout versus a soldier. And we've even got the legendary Karl Popper to really challenge how we think about knowledge itself. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so the big question is, how do you even know? How do you know when you've crossed that line from genuinely thinking about something to just digging in your heels and defending your turf? What's the telltale sign? Well, according to the brilliant Daniel Kahneman, the signal is emotional heat. You know that feeling, right? That flash of irritation or anger or just pure defensiveness when someone challenges one of your core beliefs? That's it. That's your brain literally switching from discovery mode to protect mode. And the insight here is huge, that emotion isn't the enemy. It's actually a gift. It's like a dashboard light in your car telling you, hey, check the engine. Something's going on here. Julia Galef gives us this fantastic metaphor to think about it. The soldier versus the scout. The soldier's mindset, their goal is to win the conversation, to defend their position at all costs. But the scout has a totally different mission. Their goal is to see what's really out there, to draw an accurate map of reality, even if it means admitting their old map was wrong. See the difference? For the scout, the goal isn't to be right, it's to get it right. That's a game changer. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we become more like a scout? Well, here are 4 practical routines you can try. First, a simple belief check. Just ask yourself, what evidence would make me update this belief even by just 10%? Second, for big decisions, run a pre-mortem. Basically, imagine it's already failed and work backwards to figure out why. Third, shift your focus from I have to succeed to I have to learn. And finally, my favorite, the falsification test. Ask yourself, what one thing could I see that would prove I'm wrong? Seriously, if you can't name anything, you're not really thinking, you're just believing. All right, so we've looked inward. Now let's expand the circle out. Let's talk about our social worlds. Because let's be real, rethinking isn't just a solo sport. It's a skill that totally shapes our conversations, our relationships, even the culture at our workplaces. And this quote from Daryl Davis, wow. He's a musician who is famous for talking to and actually convincing KKK members to leave the Klan. His golden rule, you can't ask someone to hear you if you won't hear them first. It all starts with genuine respect. The goal isn't to win. It's to create a space where someone feels safe enough to start questioning their own beliefs. And this brings us to a really key distinction, debate versus dialogue. Think about it. A debate is basically a performance. It's a contest. The goal is to look good, to win points, to dominate. But a dialogue, that's a partnership. The goal there is to actually understand each other. The prize isn't a trophy, it's shared understanding. One is designed to shut people down, the other is designed to open them up. Now, when you take this idea into a group setting, like your workplace, what you're really talking about is something called psychological safety. Researcher Amy Edmondson found that the absolute best teams, they're not the ones that never make mistakes. No way. They're the ones where people feel safe enough to admit when they do make a mistake, so everyone can learn from it. It's really just the belief that you can speak up or say, I don't know, without getting punished for just being human. So, how can you tell what kind of culture you're in? Just look at how your group handles bad news or simple uncertainty. In a punishing culture, when bad news hits, leaders get defensive.
People pretend they know all the answers. But in a learning culture, leaders get curious. People are actually willing to say, I don't know. So ask yourself, where you work, are people rewarded for looking flawless or for learning fast? It tells you everything you need to know. Okay, let's move to our third and final circle. And honestly, this is the toughest one. Rethinking out in the open. We're talking about making big decisions when you have no idea what the future holds and trying to have a sane conversation in a public space that, well, it often feels more like a battlefield than a forum for ideas. The great physicist Richard Feynman really nailed the core challenge here. He said the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. Man, that's it, isn't it? Intellectual honesty has to start with us. We are all absolute masters at telling ourselves stories we want to believe. Facing real uncertainty means being brutally honest with ourselves first. So how do we get better at not fooling ourselves? Well, we can actually steal some habits from the world's best professional forecasters. For starters, keep a decision journal. This helps you separate a good decision process from just a lucky outcome. Next, learn to think in probabilities and ranges, not just single certain predictions. And finally, and this is a big one, you have to become a scientist of your own beliefs. That means you actively hunt for the one experiment, the one piece of evidence that could prove you're wrong. But why is this so hard in public? The philosopher Hannah Arendt put her finger on it. It's our deep, primal need to belong. We are social animals through and through. And when things get chaotic and uncertain, that need for our tribe, for our group, can become so powerful that it literally overrides our ability to see the truth clearly. Belonging can feel more important than being right. And this leads to what you could call identity addiction. It's this deep-seated need to be the same person in front of the same people forever. It's the fear that if you change your mind, you'll be kicked out of the tribe, that you'll lose your community, maybe even your sense of who you are. And that fear, that is the real ultimate enemy of rethinking. Which brings us to what might be the single most powerful, practical piece of advice in all of this. It's simple. Treat your beliefs like hypotheses, not like they're your prized possessions. A hypothesis is just a temporary idea, something you test and update when you get new information. A possession is something you guard and defend to the death. Be a scientist, not a dragon guarding its gold. Because in the end, the goal isn't to be right. It's to learn faster than reality itself is changing. And trust me, reality is always changing. It's going to update itself whether we like it or not. So the only real question left is, are you ready to update too?